Welcome to OK Miniatures. So, I started out by I had some extra milliput, and I didn't want to just let it go to waste and become a random hardened blob. So I decided I'd make it into something. And so I decided, I was looking a little bit at making a killer whale diorama. Why not just make a small, little mini killer whale? And that way I can later make him into a diorama. So I just shaped him into a whale, added some fins after I made the main body, and then a tail. And I just let it dry. It took a few hours, but I just left it for a while. When that was dry, I just painted it up, or cured, I guess. I painted it up, just simple black and white, and then I made a string harness for the whale so that he could sit jumping out of some epoxy, and that took quite a bit of finagling. It didn't want to balance quite right in the position I wanted. I wanted him coming quite a bit out of the water, which most of the time doesn't happen, but once in a while it does, and it looks way better. For the epoxy, I used some math and estimated the diameter of the sphere that I was using. I was planning on just making a nice half hemisphere for the whale to be jumping out of, but I didn't mix up the right amount of epoxy, so I just went with that. I think in the future, instead of trying to do calculations, it'd be better just to pour in some water to the level that I want and then measure that amount of water, and that's the volume of epoxy that I'll need. It's a little bit simpler and easier than measuring diameters and doing math. So then I colored that with some blue pastel, which I just mixed up, and then I balanced my whale with his harness over the silicone mold that I was using just like a paintbrush or something. Unfortunately, the whale did kind of fall out of his harness, or I don't remember exactly quite what happened, but the string got all wet, and which actually caused the epoxy to harden the string onto the whale. So after the epoxy cured, I had to pull off the string, and while I was pulling off the string, first the whale all broke off. So the tail stayed stuck in the epoxy, but the body broke off. So I just kept it off to keep it out of the way and so it wouldn't break again, hopefully. And that made it easier to pull the string off of the whale since I could turn it around and see where the string was. The string pulled off some of the paint as well, so having the whale broken off actually made it easier to later touch up that paint and try fix things up a little bit better. I used a Dremel to carve some wave patterns in the epoxy, so I just mainly tried to basically eliminate all the flat original surface on the wave on the water surface, so I didn't quite make it that, but that way there was very little flat surface between the dips, which made it look more realistic. It's a little bit difficult to tell exactly where it's been carved away and where it hasn't been, since there's all this, the resin turns like whitish and little bits get stuck on, but I just used a brush to help wipe that away, and it helped. It's still not quite there, but it's pretty good. Then I sprayed it all with a clear coat, glossy clear coat, not white paint like last time, fortunately. And it actually really made the water so much clearer. I was impressed by how well this worked. I did not expect it to actually work quite this well. Then, once that was dry, I just glued on the whale body and gave it another clear coat so that the entire whale would look like it's wet. The glossy coat just makes everything look wet, which really brings it up a little bit of a notch. And then I added some white splashes where the tail was in the waters, like water's falling off of the whale and also getting disturbed as it jumps. And then added a quick dry brush to the peaks, the crests of the waves. Nothing too bold there, since The waves were pretty small compared to the whale, but just a touch. And there it is. This is a very small, simple project, but I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I got to experiment with some techniques, mainly the water surface textures and with that clear coat to actually give it a proper try, unlike my failed attempt last time. And I don't know, I just really like epoxy too, so I'm happy with how this turned out. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more content like this, consider subscribing and leave a comment down below if you have specific suggestions of what you'd like to see me do. With that, I'll see you in the future.